Good morning, all. So, today's lecture for UGs is on the topic Principles of Instrumentation, instrumentation including scaling and route planning. So, good morning, have a nice day. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. So we can all fight with these tough times together. In the middle of the difficulty lies the opportunity. So, good morning, have a nice day. Life is a journey with problems to be solved and lessons to learn, but most of all, experiences to enjoy. So, coming to the contents, these are my contents for the lecture. These are positioning of patient and operator, visibility, illumination and retraction, condition of instruments, maintaining of clean field, instrument stabilization, instrument activation, principles of scaling and route planning, ultrasonic instruments and aerosol production. So here this is the overview of periodontal instruments. We can see here all the various types of periodontal instruments starting from the diagnostic to the treatment needed instruments, and it starts with the basic diagnostic instruments called as mouth mirror, probe, tweezer, and treatment related instruments which are known as curates, and certain types of explorers. So, coming to the introduction, effective instrumentation is governed by a number of general principles that are common to all periodontal instruments. Starting from proper positioning of the patient and the operator, illumination and retraction for optimal visibility, and sharp instruments are the fundamental prerequisites. So, periodontal instruments, these are the complete set of periodontal instruments when you start up with the scaling process or starting with the simple diagnostic procedure as well. So, coming to the accessibility, which includes positioning of the patient and the operator. So, accessibility facilitates thoroughness of instrumentation. The position of the patient and the operator should provide maximal accessibility, which impedes through instrumentation prematurely and tires the operator and diminishes his or her effectiveness. So, whenever you start up with the scaling procedure, proper accessibility is needed with proper positioning of the patient and the operator. So, proper accessibility facilitates thoroughness of the instrumentation, and the proper position of the patient and the operator should provide maximal accessibility, which you can see through your vision through instrumentation. And if it is not followed properly or strictly, the operator gets tired and diminishes their effectiveness. So, this is the basic chair positioning, adaptability of the instrument, as you can see in the hand of the dentist and in the jaw set of the tooth. With a successful strokes makes you a good practitioner. So you can see here the neutral sitting position of the operator in the chair, and you can see the proper adaptability of the instrument in the dentist hand and adaptability as well in the jaw set, or you can see in the patient as well. So, coming to the neutral positioning of the clinician. So, first is forearm should be parallel to the floor. Weight is evenly balanced. You should not sit in a lazy way. There is a proper positioning when you sit on a Operator's tool. Thighs are parallel to the floor. Hip angle is at 90 degrees. As you can see in the above mentioned photo, that the neutral positioning of the operator, of the dentist, is 90 degrees. Seat height is positioned low enough so that the heels of the feet touches the floor. You should never sit on a dental chair with your legs positioned on the trolley of operator tool. It should be placed parallel to the floor. And when working from clock positions, there are certain positions whenever you work on a patient's mouth, and it is remarked with the clock position, as it is totally remarcated with your design of a wall clock, that is from 9 to 12 position. As you can imagine how you can sit within the 9 to 12 position. Spread feet apart so that your legs and the chair base forms a tripod which creates a stable position. And avoid positioning of your legs under the back of the patient's chair. Back is straight and head is erect. So this is the proper positioning when you work on a patient. Your feet are parallel, your thighs are parallel, your feet are positioned on the floor, and your hip angle is at 90 degree, and your back is straight and your head is erect. So this is the basic positioning of your body when you sit in a operator's tool. So proper chair position and correct position for practice. So here you can see that the head is erect, shoulder is straight, trunk is straight, upper arm and thighs and hips are parallel to each other. In the adjoining figure, you can see that there is a dental chair setup and certain clock positions are mentioned. So these are the clock positions to keep in mind, that 12 o'clock position, 2 o'clock position, 3 o'clock position, 5 o'clock position, 7 o'clock position, 9 o'clock position, 11 o'clock position. So this is the right-handed position for dentist. As you can see in the figure that the dentist is working on a patient's mouth, sitting right-handedly towards the patient and practicing the following procedure. And in general, we see that the right-handed position is practiced by most of the dentists. So avoid stressful position for practicing. Get a proper position and then work. In the following figure, you can see which is to be practiced and which is to be avoided. So you can see excessive leaning into the patient's mouth or excessive leaning onto the patient's face is not applicable. You should never lean over the patient's face. Coming to the hand position, it should be kept parallel and 90 degree to the floor, and avoid excessive moving of your arm or excessive stressing your arm. So practicing this position can lead a stressless posture and life, and a good posture can be less stressful, and a better ergonomics is needed. Here ergonomics is the proper chair position which we are talking about is needed. So coming to the patient's position, the patient should be in a supine position and placed in such a way that the mouth is close to the resting elbow of the clinician, that the patient's mouth is to be kept near to the clinician's elbow. Body, the patient's heels should be slightly higher than the tip of their nose. The back of the chair should be nearly parallel to the floor for maxillary treatment. And for the mandibular treatment, the chair back can be raised slightly for mandibular treatment. For maxillary, we can put the chair little bit down, maxillary, for maxillary. And for mandibular, we can raise the chair slightly as per our convenience. So here you can see how the maxillary and mandibular area of treatment are considered. In maxillary, you can see the chair is resting towards the clinician's elbow, and in mandibular we can raise up the chair. While taking the impression, we can completely put up the chair to the 90-degree position so that the mandible is totally been accessible. So follow this clock position. According to the clock position, you can feasibly see how you can deal with the patient. Head. The foremost of the patient head should be given even with the upper edges of the headrest. For mandibular areas, the chin position of the patient should be down, and for the maxillary position, the chin position should be up. Now coming to the headrest, if headrest is adjustable, it should be raised or lowered so that the patient's neck, head are aligned with torso. Coming to the visibility, illumination and retraction. After positioning of the patient comes visibility, that how you will look into the patient's mouth. Illumination means the light which is taken from the dental chair, and the role of retraction. So whenever possible, direct vision and direct illumination from the dental light is most desirable. If this is not possible, indirect vision may be obtained by using a mouth mirror to reflect light where it is needed. Indirect vision and indirect illumination are often used simultaneously. Now coming to the mouth mirror. So mouth mirror are differentiated into many types: front surface, concave surface, plane surface. Front surface produces clean and clear images with no distortion. Good image quality is recorded. Easily scratchable. Concave surface, image is magnified and distortion of image is noticed. And plane surface, it produces double image. Double image is distracting. So various uses of dental mirror are indirect vision, indirect illumination, trans illumination and retraction. With the dental mirror, you can retract the patient's cheek, lip or tongue. So coming to the trans illumination. Trans illuminating a tooth surface is the mirror is used to reflect light thoroughly through the tooth surface. The trans illuminated tooth almost will appear to glow it effectively only with the anterior teeth to allow the light to pass through them. So coming to the clinical positions for right-handed and left-handed clinicians. Right-handed clinicians are 7 o'clock position, that is to the front of the patient's head. 9 o'clock position to the side of the patient's head. 10 to 11 o'clock position to the back of the patient's head. And 12 o'clock position is directly behind the patient's head. Now coming to the left-handed position, the dental practitioners who are left-handed, they can go into the following clock position. These are 5 o'clock position, that is to the front of the patient's head. 3 o'clock position to the side of the patient's head, 2 to 10 o'clock position to the back of the patient's head, and 12 o'clock position that is directly behind the patient's head. So coming to the retraction, it provides visibility, accessibility, and illumination. The following methods are effective for retraction. Use of the mirror to deflect the cheek, while the fingers of the non-operating retract the lips and protect the angle of the mouth from irritation by the mirror handle. Use of the mirror alone to retract the lips and cheek. Use of fingers of the non-operating hand to retract the lips. Use of the mirror to retract the tongue. Combination of all the methods, and while retracting, care should be taken to avoid irritation to the angles of the mouth. Coming to the condition of instruments, that is their sharpness. Prior to any instrumentation, all instruments should be inspected to make sure that they are clean, sterile, and in a good condition. The working ends of pointed or bladed instruments must be sharp to be effective. Coming to the advantages, it is easier for calculus removal. Second is it improves stroke control. Third point is reduced number of strokes are done. Fourth point is increases the patient's comfort. And fifth point is it reduces the clinician's fatigue and tiredness. Ideally, it is best to sharpen your instrument after autoclaving and then re-autoclave them prior to patient's treatment. Dull instruments may lead to incomplete calculus removal and unnecessary trauma because of the excessive force applied.